Right. Now, like black still yellow.
Yeah. Second. Okay. I think they're in business. Oh. 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 Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवतां नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिनां मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्ततामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणी नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे फुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयः प्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय स्तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचानूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज अहं त्वा सर्वपापेभ्यः मोक्षयिष्यामि मा शुचः. So we are on the 10th chapter where we're getting a real glimpse of who is this God, you know. Uh, we all have different ideas on who is this God, but we never ever think that God is so close to us. You know, it is that God who is there everywhere, who is actually perpetually residing in all the things in the world which we can call as the manifestations of God or the glories of the Lord or the vibhutis. And this chapter, 10th chapter, is really that aspect of us bringing us close to God by bringing all the things that we don't really bring close to us, you know. The things that typically are close to us are things which we have now very passively given control over, and we say that is close to us, you know. Like, for example, material things, you know, we have given control on material things, so now material things are more close to us based on what the value of that thing is to us. So we, you know, 10th chapter is really asking us to get out of that mode and to see the things in front of us as vibhutis of the Lord. It can come from very, very simple things, even simple things as a book here, as even a pen, for example, as something which is that creation of the Lord. So that creation is what he's referring to, and that is the genius, if you want to say, of that Lord of having created this. But what do? We take this thing and we say, I created it. The minute the I-ness comes into it and the minus in the sense, my pen or whatever, then what happens is we forget that this is actually an act of that Lord of having created this particular pen. So it is that power for us to, not think that this is my power, but it is the power of the Lord which has made this happen. So this is something that is where the 10th chapter really begins, because we have Arjuna who's asking this question, saying that, yes, 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 Krishna, now I understand everything what you're saying. I understand that you are none other than the Brahman incarnate. All this, he says that. But yet, he says, tell me something that will make me really, really appreciate you, recognize you. In fact, the word is recognition. Tell me something where I can actually recognize you, because today I believe that, everything here is something that I have created. You know, I have created in the sense through looking at my own ego. I'm looking at, I did this, everything is mine here. But show me, Krishna, how this is who you are. This is who you are in the person. So that is where 10th chapter is really asking us to look at the entire world as the vibhutis. And of course, Krishna doesn't want us to look at just a pen and, an iPhone or whatever it is in front of me, but he wants us to think big. It's just like the example that I gave before is when you see this gigantic um, animal like a camel or an elephant, you really wonder, how is this creation possible? How do I really come to, understand the greatness or the genius of the Lord? So that's where this whole thing is all about. So, in a reflection, I wanted to put this up, which uh, Krishna is saying, infinite are my names. You can count the grains of sand on the shores of the ocean, but my glories and my names are much, much larger. And that is why, we can count all the things which are in front of us, like this pen, the phone, and, even the things which are in the house. And we think, that's what this world is about. But he's saying, Krishna is telling Arjuna, it is actually impossible for me to tell you all my manifestations in which you can behold me. But briefly, in essence, I shall outline where my excellence can be beheld. And that is how the 10th chapter from Shlok, if you want this, I just want to, I shall, he talks about his excellence, where he can actually be perceived. So from the 20th shloka onwards, we saw this, of course, last time. He starts with the innermost self of who he is, where he says, I am that self, which is there in beginning, in the middle, and everywhere. So making us understand that, Krishna, because that was a question that Arjuna asked, is, tell me how I can start to glorify you. He starts with first, again, the subtlest of the things within us, which is the mind. And he said, if you can only grasp me at the mind level, that is where this thing is about, where he's saying you can grasp me at my mind level. I am everywhere. I'm in the beginning, I'm in the middle and end, right? So, but then of course, Arjuna wants something more tangible. Like we used the word alambanam last time, alambanam or a support. He wants something really tangible. And that is where from shlokas 19 to 38, We start in about 20 shlokas. We saw about starting to see the 75 glories. And all these creations, he says, are nothing but my own manifestations. You know, like the examples we have given before in Mundaka Upanishad, I am the creation, the whole thing, and I am the creator also. Everything is just me alone. So, in other words, Krishna is almost looking at Arjuna and saying that, hey, Arjuna, if you can look at yourself, you are the creator, you have been created by yourself. If you can come to that understanding. But of course, Arjuna, like all of us, doesn't look at it that way. He is not taking himself as a creator. He looks as I'm separate, Krishna is separate, the whole world is separate, and I'm only living in this world, right? I am living in this particular big world. This is a Jiva Jagat Ishvara, everything is separate. So that is where from Shlokas 21 onwards, you see Sri Krishna starting to list all the Ishvara's expressions. And in this beautiful one, he talks at three levels. The the greatness during daytime, the greatness during nighttime. So if we want to meditate, again, this is all because Arjuna wants Krishna to tell him of the forms on whom he can meditate upon. So he starts with the Adityanam Aham Vishnuhu, and we talked about the 12 Adityas were the sons of Aditi, and the 12 also represents the various phases of the sun, indicating the months through which he goes through, right? And that is during the daytime. He's the sun, and then he is the Marichi among the Maruts. The Maruts are the devatas who represent the different kinds of breeze, and among them, Marichi is considered to be the most powerful of those breeze. But even this one, somebody like Hanuman was able to, in Sundarakand, there is a story about how he's able to go beyond this. So this is, I'm making sure it was really Sundarakand. Yeah, it is Sundarakand of Tulsi Ramayan, where he talks about it. And then if any reason Arjuna is thinking that, oh, okay, how about the night? Are you really available only in the more daytime? He says, no, even in the evening, nighttime, I want to tell you that among all the beautiful stars, I'm the moon. Then in Shloka 22, now Krishna goes to the aspect of knowledge and everything. But I want to ask, any questions here so far? No, right? Okay. So here in the Shloka 22, he talks about how, how among the Vedas, Samaveda is so very beautiful. So too, among anything you can think about in this world, he's saying, I'm the best. So this is how he's saying, and maybe he's choosing Samaveda because, Krishna plays a flute, and a flute is used to produce music. And therefore, since Samaveda is that Veda where things are chanted, and it also has the essence of Rig Veda, which is the oldest Veda, and it is considered to be the most important of the Vedas too. So the essence of Rig Veda is in the Samaveda, and that is why he says Vedanam Samaveda Asmi. And then Devanam Asmi Vasavaha, Vasava representing King Indra. Because Indra is the king of gods. And so among the Devas, I am that Indra. Then Indriyanam Manaha Cha Asmi. So, and then who is the god of all the sense organs? Indriyas. Indriyas are the sense organs. And the controller of all the five sense organs is the mind. So he says among the senses, I am that mind. And then finally, Bhutanam Asmi Chetana. So then among all beings, Bhuta, among all beings, what is it that gives something life? He says, I am that life in all the Bhutas also. So this is at 22, we did that. And we spoke about how the Vedas, they are the large body of knowledge, which is the essence of Sanatana Dharma. It is composed in Sanskrit, and it constitutes the oldest layer of Sanskrit literature. And it is really the body of literature which gives you, which is a starting point for a lot of religions, not just Hinduism, but also Jainism, Buddhism, even though there are certain levels of Buddhism where they don't accept the Vedas. And if any of you have the time, you should go through the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where Swami Chimananda has really broken up so well the theistic religion, atheistic religion, everything. So the whole thing is actually nothing but in the Vedas, and Vedas are four in number: Rig Ved, Yajur, and Atharvana Veda. But apart from that, what are the Vedas? They also contain four divisions. They have the Samhitas, the Brahmanas, and the Aranyakas, everything. So this is really the body which he's talking about. Then among the Vedas, Samaveda is really the most important. Like we said, it's very beautiful, it's very musical. And last time we also went through these definition of how Samaveda is broken into. And then Devanam Asmi Vasavaha is the king. Indra is considered to be the most powerful of all the devatas. So he says Devanam Asmi as Aham, I'm Vasava, and which is referring to Indra. And then Indriyanam Aham Asmi Manaha. And like I said, mind is the controller. So he says about that. And then Bhutanam Asmi Chetanaha. So then now starting to think about the shloka number 23. This is where we are starting off for today. Rudranam Shankarascha Asmi Vitteshu Yaksharakshasam Vasunam Pavakaha Asmi Pavakashchasmi Meruhu Shikharinam Aham. So again, four different ways in which he's explaining his own glories. So among the Rudras, so whenever we think about Rudra, we think about Lord Shiva, right? So among the Rudras, he is Lord Shiva, who is the best among them. And then Vittesha Yaksha Rakshasam. And we'll discuss more on who is Vittesha. And then Vasunam Pavakaha Cha Asmi. So you see, everywhere he's saying, I am this. Cha Asmi, Aham, Asmi, right? So he says, I am that Shankara, I am that Kubera, Vittesha is Kubera here. And then among the Vasus, I am that Agni or Pavaka. And then among the mountains, I am the Meru. Again, everything he's taken the bestest of all the examples. And here, the word Rudra comes from the root Rud. And the root Rud in Sanskrit actually means to cry or howl, And basically, they symbolically represent the vital life energies. And they are the ones which make the people cry when they leave the body, okay? Now, what does that mean? So we will come to that aspect here in the next one, so let's think about it this way. So the concept of Rudra essentially means he is the deity of destruction. We say Shiva. Shiva is a constructive, but we don't call it destruction for our Balavihar kids. We always say constructive recycler. Okay. Now, the reason for constructive recycler is where, I'm showing here this whole cycle of life. We know that any fruit, the origin for it has to be from a flower. Okay, the flower must die in order to yield the fruit, Then what happens to the fruit? The fruit must perish before the seeds can come out, right? And the seeds, when they go into the ground, they also have to break open to give you the seedling. So in all this, so it's a continuous process of a kind of a destruction that is happening. Okay. And in this destruction is where this Rudra energy comes into play. And this is what the rishis, the rishis who were so subtle in their minds, they really respected, they fearlessly respected and adored this deity of Rudra. And this deity of Rudra who is for creative destruction, or creative this one. And this, among all these Rudras, Shankara was considered to be the most powerful or the best of all the Rudras. And here I've just broken the word Shankara in Sanskrit, in Sanskrit. Shankara, who is a Shankara? Shankara is that Shamkaroti Yaha. That or he who does Sham, Sham referring to auspiciousness, Kalyanam. Okay. I know many of you must have know this Upanishad Shanti mantra. Shanno mitra sham varunaha, shanno bhavat yamam, shanna indro brihaspatihi. That. So Sham basically means auspiciousness or mangalam. And therefore, Shankara is one who does the Mangala Karta. He is the one who's doing Mangalam also. He's saying, so that is who Shankara is. Shankara means that person who is actually bringing auspiciousness. It doesn't look like that when we are calling him as a constructive destroyer, right? But he's the one who actually is removing sorrow, and he's the one who removes the crying from the family. Wherever Rudra Parayanam takes place, the crying actually goes. And that is why you do this Rudra Parayanam 11 times. And because by chanting that takes away all the crying or the howling, So that is why this Rudra is very important. And you have this 11 Rudras. And that is why you do this 11 times Rudram chanting. The Rudram chanting is because for each of the 11 Rudras is why you do it. Hara, Bahurupa, Trembaka, Aparajita, Vrishakapi, Shambhu. Shambhu is the one who's referring to Lord Shiva. Then Kapardin, Raivata, Mrigavyada, Sharva, and Kapalan. So Krishna says that Lord Shiva is Ishwar's expression because he is the calmest of all, and he brings joy to the devotees. So they invoke this Ekadasha Rudra in all the 11 pots, and all of them are Rudras, but among them, the most important is Shankara. Okay. So that is why he says, even among the destroyers who we think is destroyers, Shankara is, I'm the best, I'm that Shankara. And then among the wealth, so now we're talking about materialism, right? So among the wealth itself, I am that Kubera, Vittesha, Yaksha, Rakshasa, I'm the Vitta, I'm that treasurer of this. So here we have, so Vittesha means Kubera, and I'm that Kubera, the one who the one who is managing all this wealth. So it seems, in Badrinath, when people go to Badrinath, so you know how it is, right? Whenever you go to a particular temple, certain temples have certain traditions that have become part of it, right? So in Badrinath, apparently there is a place for Lord Kubera. And there is a belief that if you keep a coin in Kubera's hand, and so you keep a coin in Kubera's hand, and then you bring that coin and put it in your own money pot or whatever, then that pot will multiply, with coins. So, so it seems like, when you go, suppose you're not able to go to Badrinath, then you give a coin to your friend who's going to Badrinath, and asked them to go to that statue of Kubera and keep it on the palm of Kubera, and then you bring it back, and then you put it in your pot. It seems that you can get very healthy, very wealthy, So that is one of the stories of Kubera. So Kubera, so he says, even among wealthy people, I am that lord of wealth. So again, look at this, the way he says, I'm the treasure of wealth among yakshas and rakshasas. So uh, I guess in those days itself, they kind of considered only people of lower caliber, like yakshas and rakshasas, as one who actually has a lot of this wealth. I thought that was an interesting connection there. And then among the Vasus, very interesting, so Vasus refers to the seasons. Okay. Now, in US, we think about only 4 seasons, right? We think about the spring, summer, which is now from summer, we are just getting into fall, and then from fall to winter. But here in India, we actually look at 6 seasons which are on the outside. Okay. When I say outside, what you're feeling, the 6 seasons. And the 6 seasons are Vasanta Ritu, Grishma Ritu, Varsha Ritu, Sharat, Hemanta, and Shishira. Vasanta referring to the beautiful spring, and these are the names of the months, Falguna and Chaitra. And then you have Grishma, which is a blazing summer, which ends with the summer solstice, Vaishaka and Jeshta. And then Varsha Ritu, which is Ashada and Shravana. And then you have Bhadrapada and Ashwina, which is, the Sharad Ritu here. And Hemanta Ritu, which is pre-winter. And then you have Shishir Ritu. I know it doesn't seem like really India has these 6 seasons, right? I mean, whenever you come, it always feels like it is hot, hotter, hottest, It doesn't feel like you really have the 6 seasons. So Krishna is saying that among the seasons, so you see how Lord Krishna is building up the theme on how anyone can worship. So he's telling Arjuna, you can even just meditate upon any of the seasons, for me. So even among the sea, Pavaka Vasunam Asmi. So of the Vasus, I am that Pavaka. So you have this 6 Vasus, but then we are saying there are 8 Vasus. What are the other 2 Vasus? What are the other 2 seasons? So interesting how in India you take a particular concept and you look at it so deep, As I said, if it is US, we are looking only as a season of winter or summer and everything. But here, not just the 6 seasons which you're looking outside, but the other 2 Vasus are the season, he says, of joy and sorrow. So what do we mean by that? Essentially, it is like, suppose, it is the beautiful spring, okay? And you're just awaiting the leaves and everything to come back on the trees, and pretty soon you're going to have the fruits and all that. But if in your mind you're not happy, you're not going to be able to enjoy that season, right? So, which is why this joy and sorrow is also considered as seasonal. And so that 2 plus this 6, so 6 vasus, so 6 seasons which are outside us, and 2 vasus which is in my mind, which is mind and sorrow. All this put together is one way of looking at the 8 vasus. Okay, so Pavaka, and so among these, I am that Pavaka. So Pavaka basically here means also mouth. In Chandogya Upanishad, it is said that the mouth of these vasus is fire. And what do we mean by mouth here? It is the mouth is where uh, through which we really enjoy things, or we experience many of the things. Is so it's kind of Pavaka is kind of another way of saying that this is a mouth, and because the word mouth is used to enjoy or experience. So the inner meaning of this one is trying to say that, at the end of the day, who is the one who's enjoying all this? Anything and everything. If we try to keep going back one step at a time, ultimately it comes to the fact that it is nothing but that Brahman. That self is the very source from which we gain all these experience of all the seasons. So who is experiencing that? It's ultimately the Brahman, and I am that experiencer of all these seasons. Okay. So of the Vasus, I'm Pavakaha, indicating that Pavaka is actually another name for Agni. So I am that Agni Devata, and Agni is considered to be the greatest purifier. And in that sense also, so he's saying that, I am that Agni of all this. So Agni is considered to be also very important, because it is without Agni you cannot digest food. Without fire you cannot even start the day with lighting of the lamp. So in all this, Agni is very important. And among this, so I'm that Pavakaha. I'm the enjoyer, you can say, and I'm I'm that Agni among the Pavakas. Now, next is, he says, among the mountains, I am that Meru mountain. Okay, I'm that Meru mountain. And now, what is this Meru mountain? So, in our scriptures, in our shastras, they say that Meru mountain is the one which is in the center of this seven, so the entire universe, or Earth, if you look at it, it's called the seven islands, right? Like, we say Australia is one island, and where India was part of another big island. So there were seven islands. In these seven islands, the place where India is considered to be the Jambu Dvipa. Even in our Jambu Dvipa, the word comes in our rituals and all that. So Meru is considered to be the mythological mountain in the center of the universe, according to according to ancient Hindu geography. And there are seven islands that constitute of them. Jambudvipa is the center, and this is the center. And so when we think about what is the center of this Jambudvipa, the mountain is nothing but the Himalayas. So the Himalayas are the ones which are called the Meru mountain. And of course, there are many other things where, some say it is the North Pole is a mountain. And so Meru is that tallest of all the mountains. And even among that, so just like the Meru is the tallest mountain, Krishna is saying, I'm the best of all that. So what he's trying to bring about is he's there in the best of everything, and there cannot be anything better than that. So each one is a glory of what he's coming to. So that was Shloka 23, where he has glorified the mountains, then the seasons, and then the god of destruction, Rudras, and also the wealth, among the wealth. So 4 different things he's glorified here. Then coming to, in Shloka 24, he now starts to glorify the teachers, the teacher, the ruler. So he starts to talk about, and the ocean. Okay. So what is that? Purodhasam cha mukhyam mam. Purodhasam cha mukhyam mam. Vidhi partha brihaspatim. Vidhi partha brihaspatim. Senaninamaham skandaha. Senaninamaham skandaha. Sarasamasmi sagaraha. Sarasamasmi sagaraha. So he's saying that Purodasam cha mukhyam mam vidhi partha brihaspatim. So among the teachers, so Brihaspati is considered to be the teacher of the celestial beings. Okay. And here we'll talk about what does he mean by Purodasam cha mukhyam mam. Who are the two different kind of teachers? So one of them is the household priest, and there he says, I'm the Brihaspati. Then Sena means the armies, or Senani Nam, among the generals, I am Skandaha. So Skandaha, as you all know, is another word for Murga, right? So I'm Skanda. And then Sarasam, among all the bodies of water. That is what it means. Among all the water bodies, I am the largest of them, which is the ocean. So when we think about, water which is there in ponds, lakes, and rivulets, rivers, and oceans. So ocean is the biggest body of water, right? So in that, he says, I am that ocean. So let's take each one of the words and really understand why they're being brought in. And, as we said, there are 75 glories, and we're trying to understand each one. And I know they're very descriptive, and sometimes it can be, some things which I've never really studied, right? And sometimes it can be something so different. But here he says, for example, Brihaspati in the Puranas is considered to be the guru of Indra. And we have talked about Indra, the Vasavaha. So Indra himself is the king of Devatas, and his own guru was Brihaspati. And who was Brihaspati? He was a son of sage Angiras, who is considered to be one of the 7 original rishis. And we have come across that word Angiras in the beginning when we talked about the 7 rishis in the beginning of this chapter, actually. So his counterpart in the world of demons of Asuras was the Shukracharya. So he's also considered to be the lord of the planet Jupiter. So Jupiter again is one of the biggest planets, and the lord of that. So that is who Brihaspati is. Brihaspati is also mentioned in Rig Veda as the Brahmanaspati, meaning that he had the status of the biggest, the most, what should I say, the best teacher, not best teacher, the most powerful teacher, you can say. So among the Purohitas, like even if you take all the priests, right? Like here it says, Purodasam cha mukhyam mam, among the household priests. So why is the household priests given so much amount of prominence, right? So the reason is, among the Purohits, there are, the Vedic priests who officiate in rituals. And in this, there are 2 of them. One of them is the celestial Purohits and the earthly ones. So Brihaspati is a celestial Purohita. So in the heavenly world, he's the Brihaspati who helps the, like I said, he's the guru of Indra. So he's the priest of Indra, king of Indra's. I'm Brihaspati, the heavenly priest of Indra. So he says, so he's the Mukhyam. I'm the main one. And in fact, Purodaha is one who you keep in front, So Puraha Date, the one who is placed in front, one who's seated, one who guides me. Such a person is called as a Purohit. And among these Purohits, I am that Brihaspati. Then Sena Ni Namaham Skandaha. Among the generals, I am that Skanda. So not only is he an ideal teacher represented by Brihaspati, but he is also an ideal warrior. Okay. Now, why does he bring again this aspect of, as a warrior, to bring about that, as a human being, we also, we sometimes, like how in the pledge, we have this, how does the pledge go? We stand as one family, bound to each other with love and respect. We serve as an army, courageous and disciplined, ever ready to fight against all low tendencies and false values within and without us. So, I am that warrior who is fighting within myself to conquer all my evil, all my bad qualities or something. So I'm the greatest warrior in that sense. So Krishna wants to mention that, he is uh, the greatest warrior, just like how Skanda is. Now, why Skanda? What is the reason why this word Skanda is? So Skanda is considered to be the one who flowed out, who emerged out of the Lord's third eye, and who had extraordinary strength. And there is this in Kalidasa's, in Kalidasa's one of the poems, there is a long epic which relates to Skanda's birth, youth, and victory over the demon Taraka. So, who does Taraka, this demon, represent? He represents this tyranny and evil. So Taraka was so powerful that that all the gods had been defeated by him in a battle many, many times. So finally, the gods had to, they were kind of almost sent out of heaven by this Taraka. And so Taraka, the heaven itself was not really considered to be safe against this rage of Taraka. So what did the gods do? They actually went to Shiva, and they said that, only a son born out of the great Shiva could have the power to destroy this demon. And so this is where the story of Parvati and Shiva comes. So Parvati, even with her beauty, could not really attract Shiva. But then, out of a lot of meditation and everything, she was able to, win over Shiva and marry him. And so Skanda is said to be born out of Shiva's kind of self-control, and only he has the power to destroy Taraka. And that is why Skanda is considered to be the greatest of generals. And this is again, depicted in Kalidasa's one of his epics about Skanda. So next, he says, among the bodies of water, he is the ocean. And in a way, you can also look at this, the inner part of it is like, the ocean really covers 70% of the Earth's surface. And it is the same water which is there in our body also, which, in our body, 70% of it is nothing but water, right? So again, this, you see how by analogy, Krishna is bringing that aspect of who are we inside? Earlier itself, he had said about, Bhutana, Masmi, Chetana, and everything, the life principle within myself. So within ourselves also, we are 70% water. Outside also, the ocean is is nothing but water. So that is the kind of relation he's trying to bring of us to the insentient, to the between whatever there is sentient and whatever is insentient. Ultimately, who is the ruler of all is that ultimate Brahman, and which makes up the entire world. So that is what Sarasam Asmi Sagraha. I am that ocean, which is the best of all the bodies of water. And another kind of an analogy you can look at it is, the ocean is actually quite independent of all, even though ocean is the biggest, but it is also independent of all the rivers and the lakes and the ponds and everything, correct? So in some sense, you can look at the analogy that way, that between Brahman and Maya, even though Brahman is in and through everything in Maya, yet Brahman is independent of Maya also. In chapter 9, we had that I am in them, but I'm not in them, all those shlokas which came, shlokas 5 and 6. So there is a deep meaning also in here when he says Sarasam Asmi Sagraha, So I am that Sagra, the ocean, which is worth worshipping. You can worship anyone, but I'm the ocean, and that's what he's trying to give here as this aspect. So then now coming to, so here we saw the greatness of the Lord as the ocean, the greatness of the Lord as the general, the greatness of the Lord as the teacher. Again, whenever we think about any teacher, think about these shlokas, So before we go to shloka 25, any questions? I know these are all very descriptive, And sometimes it can seem, how is that related to where I am? But again, this is bringing about an appreciation of the things that we see on a regular basis. So next time when you go to Lake Michigan or anything, think that this is the glory of that Lord. Whenever I see the mountains, when I go to Grand Canyon, not that Grand Canyon is not a mountain, it's a valley though. But when you're down, you look up, then there's a mountain kind of thing, right? So think about this.
Hari Om.
Okay. Hari Om. Yes, Anand.
The epic by Kalidasa is called Kumar Sambhavam.
Kumara, oh, thank you. Kumara Sambhav. Yeah, Kumara refers to
To
um,
Skanda, yeah.
Kanda. Correct. Thank you.
Right,
Thank you
right.
for
Sure.
this information.
Also, it's also regarding to Sloka 24. Even in common terms, people used to call like a person is very intelligent. People used to call him like he's like a Brahaspati.
Uh-huh.
So like
Correct, correct, correct.
represents. Yeah.
That is true. In our
In
colloquial
Buddhi,
language,
he is
right?
Brahaspati.
He's a Brihaspati, correct. That is true.
Yeah.
And I found that story of Skanda also very interesting because, we talk so much about, we just celebrated Ganesh Chaturthi, right? But we don't know much about Skanda or Muruga. So the story to me was kind of fascinating, and I thought, okay, I should mention this. So moving on to shloka number 25. He says, Maharshinam Bhruguraham, Maharshinam Bhruguraham, Giramasyekam Aksharam, Giramasyem, Giramasyeka Aksharam, Yajnanam Japayajñosmi, Yajnanam Japayajñosmi, Stavaranam Himalayah. Stavaranam Himalayah. So he says, among all the great sages, Maharshi, among all the great sages, Maharshi Nam, I am Bhrigu. And then Giram, which is the words, among spoken words. Among the spoken words, I am Ekam Aksharam. I am Ekam Aksharam. Ekam Aksharam meaning I am that one word referring to Om. And then Japa Yajnaha. Among all the japas, I am that, among all the yajnas, I am the Japa Yajna. And then among all the Stavaranam, which is the immovable ones, I am the Himalayas. I'm just amused and smiling at myself because, I just went to visit IIT recently. There, all the hostels in IIT are named after rivers, whereas all the mountains are named after, all the buses are named after mountains. So there's always a joke, tell me a place where the rivers are static and the mountains are moving, and that is IIT Madras, So Stavaranam Himalayah. And then among this, so this is of the motionless and the Himalayas. So Bhrigu is the one who recites actually the Manava Dharma Shastra, and he's recognized as the Manu's son. So in Padma Purana, it is described that rishis selected Bhrigu, and actually they sent him on a mission to the heavens to test and discover who among the three gods, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, who is the greatest. Okay, that is why Bhrigu is considered to be the smartest of all the rishis, So Bhrigu apparently, interviews Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara, and then finally comes and says, you know what? Lord Vishnu is actually the most divine of all the Trimurtis and who is the most patient one. Okay. Now, basically what he does is he goes to Brahma and, he irritates him. And then he finds that, Brahmaji loses his temper. And then, of course, with Shiva, you don't even have to ask, small things he can get angry, right? So Shiva is also even though we have portrayed him as the most calm in this one, but he also kind of gets angry, And then when he goes to Vishnu, he actually kicks him on Vishnu's chest, apparently. And instead of getting angry, actually, Vishnu asks Bhrigu, "Oh, is your leg all right? Is it paining? Do you want me to do any massage for him? Massage for you?" So this is how apparently Vishnu also gets his mark on the chest because of Bhrigu's hitting him. So that is why he says, Vishnu is really the most divine and the most patient of all the gods. So this is why Bhrigu gets the name of, he's the best of all he's the best of the sages. Then Giram Asmi Eka Aksharam. Eka Aksharam, only one syllable. What is that one syllable? It is that Omkara. And why do we say Omkara is the greatest word? Because Omkara is considered to be the essence of the entire Vedas. So just as we churn and bring butter from, the milk or the curds, and just as Devas, so the Devas churned the milky ocean and they brought out the Amritam. Similarly, Brahmaji churned the Omkara and brought out the butter, which we call this as Om. And Om is considered to be the most powerful of all the mantra, of all the syllables. And that is why among all the spoken words, Om is considered to be the best, or the most. I'm not even sure we can call this as important or best or great or anything. It is what it is. It is, Om is the word. That's how we can say, and we use Om as the support. And in the Mandukya Upanishad, of course, Om is talked about so much, right? So Om Girami. So the Giram here means that among the words, Om is considered to be the most important word. And then Yajnanam Japaha Asmi. So I'm the Yajna, this among all Yajnas, the Japa Yajna is considered to be the most, is one Yajna which anybody can practice, right? There is no restriction to it. You can do japa at any time. It is, you don't have to be really a Brahmana to practice japa yajna. Anybody can do that. So that is why he says you can be a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra, anybody at any time. This one, you don't even have to have really a sacred thread to do it. Anybody can do it. And that is why among all these, japa yajna is considered to be the most. This in japa yajna, the word ja indicates what janma vichedaha, the end of the cycle. It indicates the end of the cycle of birth and death. And the next letter pa indicates what pakara papa nashanaha, janma pa. So basically this particular sadhana destroys all kind of papa also. So that is why japa yajna is considered to be the most important. And stavaranam Himalayaha. So among all the mountains and the Himalayas, so the most sacred mountain range that is why Himalayas is considered to be the most important. This one, which is nothing but the abode of Lord Shiva, right? So Himavan's daughter was Parvati, and so that is considered to be the most important of all the. So we've covered Himalayas, we covered Japa, and then we covered the Akshara in this one, and then we considered the best of the Rishis. So we covered quite a few of the glories today, and maybe next week before we start, we can reflect upon what does this mean, reflecting on each one of them. So we can stop here, 6:58. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayaha, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet. Om shanti shanti shantihi. Om purnamadav purnamidam purnat purnamudachyate. Purnasya purnamadaya purnameva vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. So let me stop the recording.